Good afternoon. My name is Jon Richards. I'm going to talk to you for the next 7 minutes about 7 tips that I have distilled over about 20 years of undertaking cost reduction exercises in manufacturing organisations. You'll be familiar, I'm sure, with Einstein's definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Now, we've done some research in KPMG and we found that 64% of organisations that undertake cost reduction exercises fail to achieve over half of the stated ambition. That's an incredible waste of effort and investment. Yet they try it again and again with the same process. It's Einstein's definition of insanity. So it got me thinking. I've been doing this work for about 20 years and I've been reflecting on some of the key questions that shareholders ask manufacturing organisations around their cost reduction exercises. They ask 3 questions about scope, about ambition and about timing. In terms of scope, they ask the organisations, have you considered all the possible opportunities available to you to drive cost reduction in your business? In terms of ambition, for each of those ideas, they say, have you truly stretched the level of ambition associated with that opportunity? And they ask about timing. When am I going to see the benefit from that cost reduction exercise, and how can you accelerate it for me? So this got me thinking, wouldn't it be neat if we looked at cost reduction exercises as if we were shareholders? Because it would completely reframe the way in which we approach them. And we've looked at this in KPMG, and we think about this now as an external investor approach. It precipitates a fundamentally different way of looking at cost reduction, and I'll briefly give you 7 tips that are distilled from my experience of undertaking using this frame of reference. So the first one is absolutely engage the right sponsorship at the right level in the organisation as soon as possible. The individual or group of individuals with the inspiration to lead. Individuals that have the dedication, the perseverance, the determination to drive a programme of cost reduction. And they may not necessarily be the individuals with the authoritative right in the organisation, but they have the charisma. One organisation I work with identified that individual as the head of tax and treasury. That's a kind of a strange choice, but they plucked this guy out of the business, backfilled his role, and gave him the conditions to succeed. They gave him the right KPIs, they gave him the right reward structure, and they gave him the right accountability to succeed. So this guy woke up every morning and thought about nothing but how to drive cost reduction in this organisation. The second thing these organisations do is they validate the shape of their business. And by that I mean they truly understand where the big cost buckets are in their business, not on a P&L, an accounting treatment basis, but on a total cost of service delivery. And that is really important because that gives them the idea of where to prioritise their cost reduction effort. And it also gives them an agreed baseline from which to determine how much progress they're making. If they don't have a single view of the baseline, everything starts to get ambiguous. The third thing these organisations do is for every cost reduction opportunity they bring to the table, they underpin it with what I call deal quality analytics. This means the ideas that come to the exco are not conjecture, they're not guesswork, they are solid, evidence-based ideas of what the upside can be in that business. And that is really important because it takes the emotion out of the debate and it makes the ideas much more compelling. The fourth thing these organisations do, and this is really important, is they look outside of their own organisation to understand how comparator organisations operate. And by that I mean they look to organisations in adjacent or non-adjacent sectors to unlock the orthodoxies and the ways of thinking they may have in their own organisations. And this is really important. The mining sector is a great example of a sector that's taken lean manufacturing principles in automotive and transposed them into the integrated production planning process in mining, and absolutely taken forward their opportunities in cost optimization. So understanding what other organizations are doing and leveraging that learning to unlock your own ways of thinking. The fifth thing they do is they create an unconstrained view of the opportunity. And this is really important also. If I go into an organisation and I see they have a cost reduction target, say of $100 million, I expect to see at least $150 million worth of opportunity in the hopper. Because an organisation that does that fully recognises that you leak value through the execution process, you leak value through implementation. It's important not to be complacent in that space. It's important to leave no stone unturned. The sixth thing these organisations do is they identify as early as possible in the execution process an individual who truly understands what it means to implement that cost reduction idea. We call them, here comes the challenge, we call them single points of accountability. And what these individuals do is they assess and test the implementability of the ideas. They effectively provide the reality check for those ideas. So that's really important. Individuals allied to each idea that test and challenge those ideas and make sure they're implementable. I said 64% of value is lost in the implementation. The final thing that these individuals do, these organisations that are effective at cost reduction do, is they look as broadly as possible across ideas for taking costs out of their business. They're not just interested in margin or revenue or cost. They get more creative. They look to tax-efficient supply chains. They look to where they locate their operations for tax-efficient operating models. Interestingly, I'm seeing organisations starting to assess their attitudes to risk management, recognising overly constrained risk management principles mean good ideas, good cost reduction ideas, do not even make it to the table. So, in conclusion, organisations I see that adopt some or most of those 7 tips, for me, habitually, in my experience, can take 15 to 30% out of their impactable cost base, keep it out, and use that to reinvest in technology, reinvest in skills. In short, what those organisations are doing are breaking Einstein's cycle of insanity. Thank you for your time.